Right here, we got this super quote, this beautiful quote by Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and Stoic philosopher, author of Meditations. So Marcus Aurelius. When your sparring partner scratches or headbutts you, you don't then make a show of it or protest or view him with suspicion or as plotting against you, and yet keep an eye on him, not as an enemy or with suspicion, but with a healthy avoidance. You should act this way with all things in life. We should give a pass to many things with our fellow trainees, for as I've said, it's possible to avoid without suspicion or hate. Marcus Aurelius. So many times in life, when you're in business, relationships, and other things, people act like you scratch them or headbutt them for no odd reason, but you're already in business with them and or you're their sparring partner. So anytime you're already in business and or have a sparring partner or relationships, you gotta look at the person's best interest because that's why they're your sparring partner. Don't then view with suspicion or as plotting against you. So many people then feel like somebody cheated on you. They feel like you were cheating them just by, I don't know, being stronger. They feel like your one basketball move that you did was wrong against them. Meanwhile, you're already training with them and have their best interests. So then you just shake hands and you have their best fate and you walk, with good interest and good respect. That's loyalty and respect because even when you're training in karate with black belts, you're gonna get hurt and sometimes the move is just gonna happen where that's not um a legal move. That might be a offsides, a pass interference, right? When you do that, you gotta act as even when it's you doing that as in good faith, not as an enemy or with suspicion, but with a healthy avoidance. So then you just act like, okay, I'm gonna have good faith. I'm not gonna act like that's an enemy or with suspicion the whole time, even if I'm training, even if, you know, I accidentally dropped the ball out of bounds or my business partner I don't know why, but I gave them the money and now they're looking at me with suspicion. That's that's not what you do. You would then have a healthy avoidance and you wouldn't look at them with suspicion or as an enemy and you would avoid that issue. You should give a pass to many things with our fellow trainees. So for as I've said, it's possible to avoid without suspicion or hate. Marcus Aurelius. That's a Stoic philosopher, Emperor of Rome, author of Meditations. So many times in life, you gotta see things with Stoic points of views without having too much emotional connection and or feelings just so you can understand. So if you're training, if you're in business, if you're doing this and somebody already has your best interest, that means don't then plot against them and act as if they're an enemy just because you're doing that. How about healthily avoid your own ego and you should give them a pass? This is then why they're actually the one that was your sparring partner in the beginning when your sparring partner scratches or headbutts you because sometimes that will happen on accident. A lot of times in business, a lot of times in relationships, a lot of times just in regular life and or regular 9 to 5 work. Even when you're doing commission jobs, sometimes you might have to ring something up for your associate that works with you and or you might have to do a return, but don't act like the return is the end of the world and now that's not your customer. Bro, just return it, walk in good faith and then run up 5 more points. Even if you playing ball, don't act like the coach who's your sparring partner. Shout out to Kobe, shout out to Jordan, shout out to Tim Grover. Don't act like that's then your enemy because they were the ones who wanted to train with you. Do not act with suspicion or enemy because the person, especially your sparring partner, they'll already know and then they'll see you acting differently. Shout out to Marcus Aurelius for teaching things in Stoic philosopher and Emperor of Rome standpoints or perspectives. And sometimes people feel like just because you use a regular tone, now they feel like you're being strict. This is not strict. This is not something against you. This is them just using clarity and also being a sparring partner who's in good favor of you. But sometimes you'll move the ball out of bounds. Sometimes the punch will be below the belt. Sometimes your teacher will sometimes actually mark something red that then they gotta understand, oh, that's not actually wrong. But this happens all the time. Don't then make them an enemy or act with suspicion if they're already acting in good faith. Just try to avoid acting that way. That's you using your ego on your sparring partner, even though they already are your mentor. A lot of times when you have a mentor, people like to then have an ego against them just because they may use discipline or they're not used to discipline or strictness, which just means being disciplined, especially during specific times. So shout out to all my real ones. Shout out to the Coconut Kingdom family. Shout out to Tim Ferriss too for writing this book right here, Tribe of Mentors. We've been on this book for a while now. You know what it is. But this is one of the quotes we were pondering this morning and we'll break down on a YouTube channel. Boom. Walk in good faith, especially if it's your trainee, your trainer, your employee who's actually helping you. And then don't act like they're scratching you, headbutting you, and are now your enemy with suspicion. Even me, Josh Ford, I work with tons of people, producers and everything, and then they switch and they act like this behavior is supposed to. No, this is Captain Cook like behavior that is not supposed to happen. Especially if somebody's being your mentor or even just putting money in your hands in good faith. Somebody gives you money in good faith. Don't then make them an enemy and then act with suspicion just because they did business longer than you. Shout out to my real ones who've been keeping it 100. Let's 10x that and keep it 1,000. Yeah.